Well, hello to everybody and welcome back to In My Shed. I'm BC. A bit of a tool and cutter grinder and accessories show today. A friend of mine, Steve, borrowed this woodruff cutter from one of his mates to do a job on these loco side rods. Worked quite well, and it's an unusual cutter. I'll bring him in later on with a close-up. It's a staggered tooth, angled tooth, variable pitch. It's something that I've never seen. Bring it around for you to have a bit of a look at. And what I'm talking about is it cuts alternately from side to side, so it's staggered tooth. The tooth is angled, not straight face, and the pitch between the teeth is variable, so you get one coarse pitch and one fine pitch. And I was really scratching my head on how the hell I was going to grind this. I've never come across this sort of geometry. Normally, to grind teeth on an angle like this, you use a pointed or domed indexing rest and run the cutter across the rest so that the cutter rides up and over to crest it down the other side. I don't have that facility to do this kind of cutter. It's only about 4mm thick, so it would be extremely difficult to set up. Cutter's made by Capital Tools down in Victoria, and it's a beautiful piece of tool steel. I can see how they got it so sharp down there, but I'm presented with the problem, how the hell do you sharpen something like this? So I was a bit stumped for a while, but I will show you the setup I come up with. And one thing I did notice reasonably soon, although all the teeth are staggered either side and variable pitch, the opposing teeth across the centre always line up. So that means I can index off the tooth at the back and grind the tooth at the front, which makes it a little bit easier. You're not trying to get the finger in onto the tooth that you're grinding, and that is the correct way to do it, but it is just bloody difficult on something like this. So this is the collet that I'll use up on the tool and cutter grinder, but these accessories need a little bit of explanation. Always wondering how you can set things up different. This is a very, very cheap eBay 5C collet block set, hexagon and square. You run the clamping nut in through the back. You get a couple of extra clamping rings with it. Sitting inside it is a 5C to ER32 collet chuck adapter. So I can use my standard milling and grinding collets, and I've got 3 chucks now with ER32. But I can use it directly, not indexing off the back, not indexing off the nut at the front, but indexing off the block. And that gives me very, very quick indexing for doing things like 4-facet drills. You've got the square block here, 6-facet blue drills using the hexagon block, or 6-flute or 4-flute end mills. So if you've got a real crazy setup where you just can't get what you want out of the tools you have, you can use an angle block, hold it with the 5C adapter in a collet chuck, put a protractor on the bench or on the angle plate, and hey presto, without scratching your head too much, you have all the weird angles you need in life. So something that's not easy to get. I'm glad that I spent the $70 or $80, whatever the attachment was, and it gives me a little bit of an added extra. And I was thinking the other day, I might also be able to clamp this on my milling machine attachment for the lathe, and that gives me another slide, another rotating base, and a bolt-on T-slot table. So if I have an even more awkward thing to grind, I might be able to get what I'm after. So I'll zoom you in now and give you a closer look at what I'll break down and a closer look at that difficult to grind cutter. This is one reason I love camcorders. Just zoom in and it focuses by itself. Bloody lovely bit of machinery. Okay, I'll get back down there. This is the block in question. Quite a good bit of kit. Unhorrible little cutter. And as you can see, it alternates. side and face, angle cut and variable pitch. That had me thinking for a little bit. Lo and behold, the adapter I was talking about. 5C at the back, ER32 at the front. To me, well worth buying. Okay, get this up in the grinder and see if I can't do a bit of business. Oh, just for a laugh, I busted my favourite LED lamp. It's now sitting up there, draped over the full relief grinder because the little clampy bit at the back end is broken. What a bugger. Off to IKEA to buy another one shortly. Hi you guys, back again. Getting closer to finishing the setup and actually doing the grinding. I thought I'd show you this without the grinder running because it's bloody noisy and you wouldn't be able to hear what's going on. But table movement is in this direction. I've tilted the workhead down so that that tooth presents the cutting edge horizontal, or as close as I can get to horizontal. So that's compensated for the offset teeth. So it's staggered tooth and offset teeth. So I've got that in a horizontal plane. I've aligned the workhead and the cutter axis at parallel to across the wheel faces with a straight edge, so that's within I would say a half a degree. In feed is that way across with the table, and you'll see that when I set up next. Now the indexing finger is down this side, so I'm indexing off the tooth opposite that one. And as I've only got to take a couple of thou off at the most, I'm being very, very careful in the setup that I don't wreck a good cutter. So I'll be indexing 1, 2, because it's every second tooth that will present horizontal in this position as it's a staggered tooth cutter. So I've only got, I think, 4 to do in each direction. And what I'll do is, when I finish the grind, I'll turn the machine off and I'll note the amount of in-feed on the table and I'll bring it back to the same in-feed. I can't do it any better than that. I normally like to go to the same feed and leave it there, but because I have to tilt the workhead up to get the other teeth, that's going to be impossible to do. Anyway, I think this will work. I'll go through a bit of a dry run with it. If I'm happy with it, I'll go ahead. And if I go ahead, I'll bring you in from what is currently our left-hand side and you can see the wheel operating. Okay, back soon. Here we are on the other side again. I've come around here to give you a better look at the indexing. And I'll see if I can zoom us in a little bit further. Still hold focus. Oh, just a little bit too far. Geez, this whole camera's terrific. Okay, I'll work the tool around a little bit and you can see the indexing. And then I'll start to grind, but that'll be off camera because of the noise. It's every second tooth that it picks up. And hopefully that'll give us a reasonable grind on the teeth. Now I blued the teeth up with a Sharpie, so I'll be able to see where I'm grinding. Okay, all for now. Here we are running the grinder with the head tilted up, doing the second lot of teeth. I'll take you through this run, and I'm sorry for the noise, but that's the grinder. Okay, the last 2 passes were done without further infeed, and that was to spark out the work on the wheel. It's a RA or a pink wheel. It's not as aggressive as the 38A white wheel, but it does give a really good finish. And also in this case, because of the arsehole of the setup, I'm grinding off the tooth and not onto the tooth. So I wanted to make sure I didn't leave the customer with any burr edge, but I think Steve will be happy with that. This cutter's made in Hamilton, Victoria by Capital Tools. I'm really surprised at the concentricity and how well it came up. I've always been a bit suspicious that my collets and my chuck might be 1 thou out or so, but this one proves that it's been a lot of the cutters I've been grinding. This one was just so round and so correct. I'm very pleased. Okay, that winds up this bit. Not going to do any more today. I'm feeling a bit knackered, but I've got another video to make on truing up an old vise that I've got here and a bit of loco work. All for now. Bye. Oh, please like and subscribe.